Good day, lords and ladies, and welcome back to Pillars of Eternity. As we get on with the campaign, now William has their abilities. Excellent. Healing chain.
Aye?
Oil. Everyone has some nice new abilities. Once per combat encounter, consecrated ground.
Lead the way. Right here.
Excellent. Now we just need to find some people to try and wake up. Don't know who we're supposed to talk to. Is it just people in the village? Camping supplies.
Just say the word.
Probably the person in here, to be honest. If we can try and keep it going. Is it her?
Got to speak up? My hearing ain't what it was.
Read her soul. You feel her essence humming and buzzing. Another personality instead of memories lies dormant within her soul, convulsing as if in fitful sleep. The contours of the dormant soul are sharp, ragged, and you reach out for it. It seizes you violently. You gain 1,584 experience. You're standing in a darkened, festive hall. Sturdy tables and benches have been stacked against the door. In the far end of the room, you know it won't be enough. A few dozen other dwarves from your tunnelling crew await with you, several and pickaxes in their shaky hands.
Sinove, please. If we go now, we can get behind the barricade. We won't do any good here.
You're right, and you hear the argument in the quiet murmur of others, but Arms Warden Merman ordered you to hold your ground here. Yet in those rising whispers you hear the opening bars of mutiny. You've never tolerated insubordination from your crew, and you aren't about to start. So you heft your pickaxe and swing it into the man's skull. He collapses and the others fall silent, the acrid odour of urine rising from his body.
We're gonna go down fighting. Anyone who feels differently can settle it with me right now.
Your voice is hoarse from hours of shouting orders, but no one else moves. They cast their eyes down in the flickering torchlight. Something thuds against the door. The others raise their weapons, picks, shovels, and a few swords, but they don't dare flinch. Your own pulse pounds at your temples. You pull back from Tainar's soul, but you feel Xenophor's wrath and ferocity tugging at you still. Her essence thrashes, lashing out at an unseen enemy. Xenophor is powerful but dangerous too. Her fury has anchored her to old and threatening memories. You consider that there may be others you could awaken. Tano, however, seems unaware of this, and she blinks at you.
Got to speak up?
Okay, so we could awaken her.
Yeah.
But there may be others. So, she leveled up. Excellent. Right, stealth. Straight away athletics. Athletics up to 3. Crippling strike, perhaps. 2 per encounter. Escape. Once per encounter allows the rogue to break engagement, which is always nice. Fearsome strike. Once per rest. Once per encounter. Passive, self, 10% hits converted to crit. Passive, deflections and misses or greater have a chance to allow an instant full attack riposte. Only active when melee weapons equipped. Adaptive evasion, self, 75 of incoming grazing hits converted to misses reflect only, and 50% of incoming hits converted to grazes. Oh, that's not too bad. Deep wound, 3.4 raw damage per 30 seconds for, yeah. Expert in the art of pain leads all slashing, piercing, crushing damage caused by the rogue to also do raw damage over time. That's nice, because raw damage bypasses everything. Raw damage is one of the best damages, so let's get that. Right, so
Just say the word.
there's be other people in town we can interrogate. Villagers. Renault's doing her best, but there's not much work outside There's no talk outside the fishery. Give the metal monster half a chance, and it will kill you in your sleep. Rude. Rude, I say. Just because you murdered a few people, but they probably deserved it. I get the feeling it's all going to be named people that have this stupid soul ability. Should have put that murderer down 15 years ago. Ista. No, we need to talk to her anyway.
I hope you've had some luck, and do take care with that device. It has a few rather delicate components.
I didn't find any ore deposits, but I did find this.
What? So it works? What a day! But why these gems? I didn't think the device would be able to pick up inert Audra. Fascinating.
You lost the item or locating device.
I have to study this further, but all the same, it worked! At last! A breakthrough! With that Audra to work from, I can refine the enchantments. We'll be digging up iron, gold, Audra, all of it!
These gems look pretty valuable.
Huh? Oh, I see. But they're far more important as evidence than as trinkets. I can't possibly offer you what Iterin can, but I can give you what coin I do have.
Here you are.
This is going to change everything. Oh, and I won't leave you empty-handed, of course. Here, I had this set aside for supplies, but I don't think I'll be staying in Stalwart much longer. I won't forget all you've done for me. They'll hear about this back home, I promise you. Who knows? Perhaps they'll name the next battery after you. This is going to be fantastic. Just wait till they hear about this back home.
Just say the word.
Okay, that's the temple, and everyone in the temple is dead. Maybe that he has something. Or does he have a sale anyway? He does alchemy and stuff, right? Alchemy, 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 alchemy. Oh, take all the dry caps, because I use those a lot. Who was it whose stuff, like, can I enchant his stuff anymore? His stuff is already exceptional. So I can't improve that any further. And what stuff, he's got that staff, and it's bound to him. More of these bells, Belif Bell. Yeah, I don't have a lot of the stuff that I need to get more of their people, more of their gear up to superior levels. Yeah, I need brains and various bits and pieces. Doesn't have those bells flowers, does he? No. Curses. Okay. That's a shame.
Just say the word.
So who else in town may have one of these wandering souls that I'm looking for? Probably the guy up here. Let's talk to him.
Welcome. Have a seat by the fire if the cold's gotten into your bones.
Read his soul. First soul is vibrant, solid thing. As you reach out for it with your senses, you see your breath beginning to fog in the air. You find yourself far above the ground, wedged into a junction of two branches. The moonlight is bright upon the snow, and in the distance your quarry steps out onto the ice, illuminating onto an illuminated stage. You still your breath and draw back your arrow. Warmth bleeds back into your limbs. Frost and snow give you away to a smoking interior of Versrak's home.
Welcome. Have a seat by the fire if the cold.
Okay, so he's no use. Characters. So
Can do.
Ain't that special?
there we go. What's in here? Rat's nest. Really?
Yeah.
They're not complaining, but I'm not done yet. Damn it! You've been in here a long time, dude. This guy got anything?
Just say the word.
Right, okay. In we go. Who do we need to talk to trigger these soul memories? It's going to be named people, right? Is it him?
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you?
Do you know a man by the name of Harmkey?
The woodcutter? Sure do. Head west from the village, then go north. If you see the frozen stream, you've gone too far. Usually works a stand of trees out in the russet wood, though he steps out from time to time.
Well, what are we waiting for?
The only way to be free of revenge is to never pursue it. Turn the other way and never look back.
Read his soul. You see a room dark and damp as cellar. It looks like a part of the inn rather than a fortress full. Half-lick's eyes, you admire rows of gleaming bottles recently dusted and polished. As you step back from the cells, you look on with satisfaction at the presser plate concealed in the stone floor.
You alright? I won't serve you if you're already drunk, you know.
Okay. Is it her?
Hello, ma'am. Anything I can do?
Just say the word.
Is it him? Read Anders' soul. A handful of memories dart across your mind like a startled fish, leaving indistinct images and sounds in their wake. For a moment you're overwhelmed till one particular recollection tugs at your sense with stubborn force. You or Ander or both kneel on the stone floor, held between two men. The man's pacing in front of you wears the armour of a crucible knight, and you feel Anders' heartfelt contempt for him as if you were your own. You feel Anders' triumph too when the knight comes just close enough for you to spit blood onto his boots. Memories slip away from you, and you'll find yourself back on your own shoes. Farewell. Read his soul. The whiff of salt and brine in your nostrils before the room has even faded. The ground heaves beneath your feet, and a spray of ocean water roars over the railing as the ship heels under the wind. The ship shudders violently, and you're thrown against the railing. In that moment, you find your gaze pulled to a pitching surface of the dark sea, and see there an eye, broad as a shield, gazing back at you in turn. Fear and frustration sweep through your mind, even as your senses recede and your memory fades. Okay, so I'm running out of people that I can turn into these things.
Thanks again. I'll be gone just as soon as the weather clears.
Only about 2 other people I think we can turn to. If we're being honest, it's only really...
So, if our watcher hadn't come along, you would have let those drunks carve you a new nose.
I was softening them up.
When trouble boils over, it's boots or blade, Aloth.
I was sure you'd consider booze an acceptable option.
Right, let's get in here and try to... Try him first.
Something else you need?
Read his soul. You reach for Uldric's essence and you find yourself staring at a fence post lying in the filthy slush of frozen mud. Snow gathers around your legs and trickles into your boots. The wind nips at you even through layers of fur. You hold a wooden chisel in your one thumbed hand and a mallet in the other, kneeling over the fence post to get to work. Hour after hour you hammer away, feeling the tool grow heavy in your grip as your breath fogs your vision. You want to do better work than this. You can do better work than this, but no one's building you houses and stalwart. The last table you crafted was put into the fishery. Pike entrails now traced to find divot joints you so lovingly carved. Now you mend the stockade because that's what's needed. Your chisel slips, skidding alongside your hand. You gasp, but you hold onto your hand and see, much to your relief, that all 5 fingers wiggling back at you. You need to get out of this town.
I take it you've met Galvino.
Examine. Renegade glances at Devil of Korak, her eyes narrowing. Examine Renegade's soul. Your awareness settles beneath Renegade's skin. You feel yourself looking through her eyes upon a time-faded memory. You're standing in the inn. The room is stifling, but the body heat of so many furious villagers, not neglected fire pit that draws sweat from your pores. Your husband waits by the door, about as far as he can get from the assembly. He holds Uldric, whose cheeks are bright as he watches the adults bicker with wide, fearful eyes. You never realised how badly your neighbours stank, but something's rank and repulsive rears from them, and they pack together in this room.
How much did the old snake pay you, Sina Hiod?
It's Gernard, the head fisherman, jabbing a furious finger towards the back of the room. Sir Heald, your erstwhile mayor, squirms in the corner, pinned by accusing stares of the entire village. Oh, those eyes, their cruel, piercing eyes, and they're watching Sir Heald with a dumb gluttony of hogs staring at fodder. Renegade, the only sight that turns your stomach more Sinold himself trying to wiggle free of his own lies.
Maestro Galvino and I came to an agreement. It was for the good of Stalwart. I thought...
You thought you'd let a killer walk among us?
A woman in the middle of the crowd waves a hand. Cries of fierce argument rise from the others. What began as a collective grumbling is swelling and congealing like storm clouds. You look back at your husband. He whispers to Uldric, but when you catch his eye, he directs a silent supplication to you.
Let's go.
Wet smack draws your attention back to the end of the room. Someone's thrown a potato, and Synods cringes and rubs his jaw. You want to shout at them for this nonsense and waste, but you know this is about to get worse. Stalwart will have blood, and Galvino and his horror have had the sense to flee already. You turn again, and your husband is beckoning you with swift chopping motions, but what stops your breath is Uldric. His little eyes are fixed on the churning mob, and you know, ever since you started hearing about those hideous purges, that he's been seeing something like this one day. But did it have to be so soon? It's what drove the devil woman to madness, and now his little eyes have gotten bigger enough to swallow the whole scene, and now he's seeing you as part of it. You want to leave now, but if you do, this is what your boy will remember: cowardice and madness, about people, about Stalwart, about you. People around you jostle and bark in rage. They're dangerous animals, but animals nonetheless. They need to be led. So you push your way to the end of the room where Sir Hill trembles in a puddle of his own piss.
Enough.
Your voice boils up from your throat. The others fall silent, watching you. They listen, dumbly trusting, as you turn Cyril's death sentence into an exile. No one contradicts you when you explain that he's going to march out of this village alone and into whatever miserable hamlet will have him. They silently agree once you explain that their hands are too clean for the likes of him. But there's something else forming behind their eyes, a kernel of trust and dependency. You feel it curdling around you, encasing you like a pearl does sand. You only wanted to spare Child's life, not volunteer for his job, but you see so much fear simmering just beneath their expressions. Fear at God, men marching through the mountains, and Deerwoodians and their purges, at dying, slow and lonely deaths of a ghost town. And you see their grateful reassurance mirrored in Uldric's expression. Perhaps this place is hopeless, but you realise that you can't leave it any more than you could leave your boy. The only person who isn't looking at you is your husband. He shakes his head, his eyes on the door. You retreat from Renegade's memory, vivid though it is. It has nothing to do with the Durgan's battery.
What's on your mind?
Right. I found a direct soul to send to someone from Durgan's battery. I could awaken this person, or I could continue searching Stalwart for another candidate. I mean, I can't find, like, the only other person...
Just say the word.
Unless I've missed someone who could have been alive. And where else haven't I been? I've been there. Been there.
Does everyone else see that Stelgar and the undersized breeches?
The only other place I haven't been is down here.
Me and Sledge are thinking about heading down, joining a caravan over to Dawning.
Dawning? What for? You like your ogres bigger?
We'd have work at least, and I'm damn sick of fish.
Perhaps there's someone in here. I'm just trying to figure out, because like she's angry as hell. People, oh, God's knows above. Gernard, let's try him.
What are you doing here?
Reader's soul. You reach for Gernard's essence, you find yourself wrapped in the cold embrace of snowstorm. You trudge through the snow, each step laborious to your numb feet. You keep your head down against the wind, and your back bent under the heavy burden. Ahead of you is a frozen lake and the hole you made in it. Your feet crunch off the ice, you wait and secretly hope for the telltale crack beneath you. With the village distant and dark behind you, you could sink and none would know. At least that would be free of your heavy churning feeling in your gut. Yet you reach the hole and the ice is still steady under you. You have the burden off your shoulder, cradling her in your arms. She's wrapped in nets and weight with stones. You wish one of the priestess of Ondra were here, and with solemn words and assurances of ceremony. Instead, you slip a bracelet off her wrist. Ondra will have a body, and you will carry this reminder. You slide the bundle into the water and watch it sink. As it dwindles to nothing more than a dark stain beneath the ice, you feel a stretch. You feel the stretching in your throat and hear the wind moaning in your ears.
I'm sorry.
You take your moment to realise that you're hearing your own voice muttering. Right, okay, so he's not going to do it. Clark. We won't expect anyone to come to, especially here today. Well, I guess there's a proper way to go about it. Really carry on like it's business as usual. See what you have. Something. Just let me know if you ought to get a discount, by the way. Okay, so he's got not a lot. Okay. I was hoping for someone whose soul we could get access to, but hey ho. Right, so it's going to have to be that group then. That woman up there who's got an angry soul. Because he's the only one that apparently has a direct descendant. I'm going to go here and I'm going to do the mission. Alright, where is it? Woodcutters, yeah. Right, okay. They're supposed to be up here. Woodcutters. Devil of Korak, that's him, Harmkey. I remember that weak chin, those knobbly knees. She stopped, staring motionless at the figure amongst the trees. You'd better get a handle on her, Gwen Ravenheart. His eyes flare wide in alarm.
How goes?
The overman emerges from the clearing and freezes, staring at the Devil Korak. For an elf, he's tall and rangy, with a weather-beaten face beneath stringy, greasy hair. The others with him turn, glaring and gaping at the bronze golem.
Auroch's shadow. What's that wicked thing doing here?
Looking for you.
Me? You can't mean...
His face goes pale.
Look, we don't want no trouble. Just trying to do our work.
Beads of sweat have formed on his forehead despite the chilly air.
We'd be much obliged if you'd leave us be. And take that thing with you.
He looks at the devil with a mixture of terror and loathing. Enough. What do you see, Gwen Ravenheart? Is it the man who torched us? The devil sways on her feet, her whole body moving around the axles of her ankles. Although she's talking to you, her attention, her concentration spear of essence focused on Harmkey. Read Harmkey's soul. He steps away from you, but your awareness reaches through the trembling skin and feeble resistance of his fear. You see memories, snow-shrouded forests, partitioned by fallen pines and firs, days measured by the steady swing of an axe. There are other moments too, recollections that flare up like a half-warming fire. There are children, spry and link-like like you, but still full of rowdy energy of youth. Together they scatter winter's bloom petals on a grave. You reach deep into Hyrcan's soul. Years roll back. A torch in your left hand bathes your face in soda and heat. All around you, other men and women holding other torches in the mountain air, acrid, with the stench of smoke and sweat. Rage billows out the others. It's been a fever in your blood for days now, exhausting you and invigorating you in equal measure. You're on the edge of the town. Cold morn, it's hours yet before dawn, but the commotion has started to awaken the village. Candlelight ignites behind frost-crusted windows, and haunted faces peer out through your glass. You begin to doubt yourself. Just then a door slams. A villager comes racing through the streets, kicking up snow. With him stark white face and pale hair, he looks almost like a ghost. The line of torchbearers ripples as you get closer. He picks up speed, but nobody moves towards him. You imagine him breaking through this row, shattering your ranks like a bad dream that brought you here. You imagine waking you up in your bed, the heat of your torch, nothing more than the warmth of your wife sleeping next to you. Instead, the villagers reach the row of torchbearers a stone throw away from you. A woman advises from the line, buries her dagger in the back. The rest of the people shout, rage, memory, and bloodthirst triumph boil up on you. You all came for a purpose. You came to bring justice to the traitors of Coldmorn. Next few hours are painted in the colour more vivid than life. You put your torch to anything that stands, and your sword is to anyone who runs. It's as if Magren herself whispers in your ear and guides your hand. Exhausted, almost cold, you rage when you spy a house at the edge of town, one of the only buildings that hasn't already burnt. It's flanked by a knot of sprung trees, and the door is painted yellow, the blooming sun, the hue of your son's hair, the colour of cowardice. Just then someone barrels into you from behind. It's a man, someone you remember from the journey to Coldmorn, but you can't recall his name. He snarls at you, mad with indiscriminate rage, and it occurs to you that he mistakes you for one of the villagers. He smashes a window and hurl your torch inside. The other man has turned away. You think you hear a child shriek within the house, but it's impossible to tell above the roar of the riot. Hermkey shivers as you pull away from his memory, his eyes wide with guilt and fear. Spit it out, Gwen Ravenheart. What did you see? It's not that simple. Don't give me that greasy bullshit. You looked into his squalid drags of his soul. Tell me what you saw. You step towards you, strangely calm. He burned down your house. He's not responsible for harm to your family, but he is responsible for massacring people in the village. So he burned down your house. You stare at Harmkey. You only hear a withering mechanism in her throat, but Harmkey leans closer.
What did you say?
His mouth quivers. What did it feel like? The torch in your hand, the blade you carried. What did they feel like? A wide inhuman scream echoes out as the bizarre machinery of her throat. It drops Harmkey and his comrades to their knees, and with the cry out in terror, gears squeal and crank as he rushes at him. I mean, to be honest, all these people went and basically butchered them. I mean, you have to understand something, which is that if Coldmorn had tried to resist, they would have been absolutely destroyed. So they just opened the gate and let them through, and these guys, for petty revenge, went after them, and so it's only fair that she gets revenge. I don't see a problem with it, to be honest. Those who live by the sword die by the sword, so... He should have thought about it. He really should have thought about it before he basically went and did what he did. If he didn't want people to come after him, he shouldn't have done stuff. I mean, here's the thing, yeah? Is that he could have walked away from that at any time. At any time he could have walked away. So, him having the excuse, oh, I couldn't do anything, I tried, blah blah blah, like, I'm sorry about it. Like, it's fine for you to feel sorry after an incident, but at the same time, like, if it's only fair for people to get, like, vengeance, especially if you mess up. So, I don't feel pity for him, really. Like, I know the game's trying to make it like, oh, he didn't mean to do it, blah blah blah, but yeah, but the thing is, like, feeling bad after you do something isn't a mitigation for the acts that you've done, especially something like committing a murder. Right, okay, let's see how that affected my reputation. Moderately good, hero. We killed them all.
Just say the word.
Let's talk to him.
Yeah.
Almost 15 years I've been looking for him.
She stares ahead of you, approaching, her link-black marbles of her eyes fixed on some distant point. Her essence swirls and swirls in the furrows of contemplation.
All that fretting and wondering. And the deed's over in less time than it takes to tell.
Some men don't last long. Harm Key got what he deserved, and that's what matters.
Then I shiver to think on the judgment you'd pass on me.
A dry metallic chuckling echoes from her throat.
I killed a lot of folk in my time. Felt their blood slick in my hands. Smelled their flesh as it burned.
She holds her hands in front of herself as he twitches in spasms.
And I always used to imagine what it would be like to have Harmka under my knife. Feeling his breath come hot and fast. Smelling the fear ooze out of him.
Say nothing.
Couldn't feel a thing. His fading pulse weren't no more than a patter of rain to me.
Going to just pretend? Trust me, he's definitely dead. That's anticlimactic.
Now that's just a puffed up way of saying rottener than a shit-filled wagon. This body, it weren't made for feeling. Gouging my fingers into Harmka's wasting flesh, his screams just buzzing in my skull.
She flexes and unflexes her fingers in a few light, quick motions.
All it did was remind me.
Of what?
That this is a madman's fever dream. Like a prison, but no, 'cause in a prison, you lay your head down and you feel the straw soft beneath you. Your flesh prickling in the cold, black bread crumbling on your tongue.
She turns her arms in front of her, examining the scroll work on the back of her hands with horror and wonder. "13 years and you can't get used to it. Your body has unique and strength advantages too. Come on, it can't really be that bad as all that. Pain and pleasure are distractions. You're lucky to avoid them." You're right, it sounds awful. Pain and... That's like an awfully, lack of emotion. That's pretty grim, that one. Those two are, like, out of the window. 13 years, like, after 13 years you can't get used to it. Like, it's not something you really get used to. Your body has unique strengths and advantages too.
I'd trade them all if I could feel the snow cold around my ankles. I still dream I'm folk. I wake up some mornings wondering why I can't feel the floor beneath me, thinking I must have fallen and gone crippled. But then I lift my head, see a bronze corpse stretching out in front of me.
I see.
I dream too of what Galvino did that night. Those moments. I'd endure another cold morn if it'd spare me this fate.
What happened exactly? You ask as she rubs hands together.
Was after I got caught in Stalwart. They'd locked me in a little house by the inn, the old mayor and his cronies.
Her head dips as she remembers.
When a crowd of them came for me in the dark of night, I was only surprised it had taken them so long.
She hesitates.
Only they didn't march me to no gallows. No. They snuck me to another house on the edge of town, real sneaky-like. That's where I met Galvino.
Galvino was living in Stalwart at the time?
True enough. This was before the locals gave him the boot. Still weren't a popular fellow, though. He was fiddling with some machinery in his workshop. Had his sleeves rolled up even though it was cold enough to see your breath. Never actually looked at me until he started fitting some copper helmet over my head. By that time, the mayor's goons had me trussed up good and tight. Galvino was having himself a grand time barking orders at that lot.
What did the mayor have to do with this?
He had agreed to hand me over to Galvino for an experiment.
She waves her hand at the word, metal flashing.
Claimed it was a fair punishment, but the townfolk weren't too pleased at being denied their stone pitching.
She crosses her arms, nodding.
Didn't help that they heard the jangle of copper in that deal. In the end, that's what sent Galvino and the old mayor packing.
I see.
So while Galvino's fastening that helmet over my head and them copper bands around my arms, I'm starting to look at his contraption. And that's when I see it.
Her black eyes are fixed on some indefendable point. Her essence dims.
It's this metal suit strapped into the machine, just like me. A cold, dead-eyed thing, all done up with fancy carvings and such.
She shivers, her joints shattering. Did you know what they intended? You inquire.
I had this terrible cold feeling in my gut, but I still couldn't figure.
She shakes her head.
I start asking Galvino and the rest of them what's going on, but they're too busy to answer. Then suddenly, they're waiting, staring at me with that fixed, horrified look, but they ain't watching me. They're watching for something to happen.
Her eyes flicker, rolling and scraping behind her face.
Galvino tells the woman nearest the machine to flip the handle. And then, just pain. Being torn apart every which way, feeling my soul peeled from my body.
Her limbs twitch and shudder. She pauses, waiting for her body to fall still.
By the time I came to, I couldn't feel a thing. Just this dull, distant sort of ache.
I heard the old man cackle and chattering. When I saw him looming over me, looking down at me with angry eyes, I tried to scream, tried to swing at him.
I think that was when I knew.
She shakes her head and falls silent. And that's how you ended up here. How could anyone put another person through something so terrible? It's over now. Let's go this one. And that's how you ended up here.
Sure enough, and how Galvino ended up in that little shack. The rest of Stalwart didn't take kindly to having a killer in their midst, nor to seeing their mayor and the Ornery Valians strike a secret deal. They drove Galvino out, destroyed a fortune in machinery, and wrote a letter to the Academy in Salona, ruining what was left of his name. Still, he's lucky he didn't get a pelting. The old mayor fled too, and Stalwart's been as snug and cheery as ever.
Now we've dealt with Hamkey, why have you stuck around?
You're better company than Galvino.
She says in an offhand, teasing fashion, but she looks away from you, fidgeting with a rivet.
Been a while since I were out in the world. Guess I'm keen on seeing more of it. Even if I'm stuck with a bleeding heart. Anyways, I've been wondering about that fortress.
Durgan's battery, what about it? She's quite fixated on a squeaking joint.
Near everyone thinks it'll have just the thing they need.
She ticks a list off her clicking fingers.
Those villagers wanted to fix up their brook downtown. Galvino always thought it carried some great secret of Animanson, and all them adventurers came looking for fancy gear.
What are you hoping on finding?
I don't know. Something to help me feel. Or forget.
Urga's
eyes. Maybe just something new.
Tips her fingers click together.
I just figured, with those dwarves being expert smiths and all, maybe they had something to unmake me. Put me back into my body.
At best you'd be a vampire. Come to think of it, that might suit you.
You got a real knack for finding the upside.
Right, so, there we go. Interesting.
Just say the word.
I mean, this was a complicated solution, a complicated thing with the woodsmen. Don't really feel bad for them, because they all went off to basically do a purge. So, they sort of had what was coming to them, like, those who swing the sword die by the sword, basically. But that's for another time, folks. If you've liked, please press the like button. If you wish to subscribe, please press the subscription button. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Steam. You can leave a comment in the comment section. I'll get back in contact with you. I've been Cornish-Knight. This has been Pillars of Eternity. And we shall pick up with the next episode with the continued adventures of Gwen Ravenheart and Space Pig. Goodbye.